I wanted to go over my moving average script really quick because I did add proper labels to them, but it made me realize that there are a lot of things that people don't understand about why I had to make a separate one for moving averages. The main reason is because I like having the color change when, it just sort of is a visual reminder that this line has been broken and this is now, it's become resistance rather than supply. One of the other things is that these are daily values on a lower chart. So this is a 6-minute chart, 5-day 6-minute chart, and we're getting a daily VWAP on it. And the way this works is when you add the moving average script. So this is going to be the simple, the 50 SMA, the daily 50 SMA. And that's, so you just pick simple, which is, that's the S in the SMA. You can also do an EMA or VWAP, which will ignore length because VWAP is always, on the daily, it's always, I think, 14. So for a simple, the length is 50. You can add displacement, and that's only because it's part of the regular moving averages. Some people do it. I don't, but it's an option. This show when below is, it's either below or above, and then the time scale. So show when below day. The reason is because this is using an absolute time scale of day, and I only want to have it show below day because if you are on a chart that's above the daily level or at the daily level or above, this is going to error because you can't use an absolute time scale that's smaller than the one on the chart. You can only go the other direction. So on any chart below a day, I want to show this, and that's why this is set up this way, so that if you're above day, you can have other you can have a 200 for whatever the chart period is, just by turning this off. So turn off absolute time scale and it'll be whatever the time scale of the chart is. And you could have that for above daily if you wanted to. But this just lets you add multiple, like you can have one set here and then add another set, the same way, only these ones are above day, and then that'll let you customize it. But for these, I want a 50 SMA, a 200 SMA, and VWAP on there. And again, VWAP ignores the length and displacement. And I want them all to show below the day because I'm using absolute time scale of day. So I have the daily 50 SMA, the daily 200 SMA, and a daily VWAP on here for everything. These other ones, show labels is really just these little labels here, so you can see where they are. And then alert on break is when price action passes through this line, it'll ping and it'll give you a message that it's broken through. The label offset is really just how far from the right hand side this will show up. So I like it just a little bit off of the right hand side, but you can, depending on your extension bars, the number of extension bars you have in your appearance settings for the chart, you can adjust that to whatever it is you want. If you want it to show up right next to the let's say you have a 50 bar extension to the right, then you could make this thing 50 and it would show up right at the price action if that's how you wanted to do your labels. If you have it set to 0, then this will kick in and it'll show up 10 bars inside. And then the other thing that I do with these is just change the style of it. So this is width 3. So this is our currently we're looking at the 50 SMA, so that's this one down here. So it's 3 width 3, and the style is the shorter dash. And that's, for me, that's to distinguish it between that and the 200 SMA. It's easy for me to see because the 200 is a longer dash and it's 3. And then I just leave my VWAP as a regular short, a smaller one. So you can see up here, like here's the daily simple SMA, 200 SMA up here. The 50 down here and VWAP. So there's all kinds of other things you can add on these as well. If you wanted it to be a different sort, like again, you could do an EMA from any time scale. What a lot of people will do is add. Let's add one just to see what it looks like. I want to add like a 9 EMA from the let's say 10-minute. Right, so now we have 10-minute 9 EMA, and we'll set that to be, let's make it tiny. And then, so we hit OK and apply, and then when this pops back in after doing all of the thinking that it has to do, we should be able to see the 10-minute. Here it is, the 10-minute exponential 9. So that means it's a 10-minute 9 EMA, and that's this line right here, which is kind of cool because I'm not on a 10-minute chart. I'm on a 6-minute chart, but it'll still show me the 10-minute because I'm below 10 minutes. And this one, this is one where it becomes important to switch this because it'll error if you are using an absolute time scale. So you want to say below, if you are below, let's say 15 minutes, because then it'll also show on the 10-minute. So now this EMA is a 10-minute EMA that will show at the 10-minute or below. So let's just do that for a second so we can see what it looks like. So let's do like 2 days 10 minutes and wait for it to reload. So what this means then is you can still see the 10-minute here, but as soon as you move higher than 10-minute, and this will be for the daily too. So let's look at something bigger than the daily, like let's look at a weekly chart. So 3-year week chart. We're not going to see any of those because they're only set to show below daily. And in the case of that, the 10-minute EMA, we've set it to show below. And you can even see, like, this is the problem, is that it'll show you these errors instead. Even though, it'll show the errors even though it's there, because it's just telling you that the secondary period cannot be less than the primary period, which is why we have the below and above. Because you don't necessarily want those things to show up. So let's say we have a weekly moving average that is, we want to see the so we want to see this above let's say above 4 days, so it'll show on the weekly or above. And we're using the absolute time scale of a week, and we're looking at a 50 SMA of a week. So what that should look like is that when it's above a week, we should be able to see that on this chart. And sure enough, here's our weekly simple 50. But if we switch this now back to the old, let's go back to the 6-minute chart. That weekly SMA won't show up because it's only set to show above 4 hours. So we are back to our regular, the ones we can see on this level, which is the ones that are all set to below daily, or in this case below 10 minutes. So that's the real utility of this, is being able to see these levels on different time frames, including VWAP. And then, so it's not just the pretty colors as it moves through supply and resistance, but it also lets you add as many of these as you want. So I do have other, like I have a clouds EMA that I use. I don't actually use this for the 10 minutes EMA because I have this Anchored EMA, which I like a lot better. This one is, by default, it's set to 1.5 hours, which is 90 minutes, which is a 9-minute or a 9-bar 10-minute EMAs, because that's 90 minutes. You divide that by 10, and that's 9. So that's 9 bars on a 10-minute chart. And then the 2.3, I believe, I could do the math on that, I guess, but it's something like a 20 on the 10-minute. And then so what I have it do is draw in the slow edge so that I can use that as the gauge of, because I can see when I want to get in and get out based on some of that stuff. But the neat thing about this one is that it actually draws the cloud for you of those 2 EMAs, which is in some ways I think is better. So you can see that there's some slight differences in the way that they're calculated, but overall they're about the same. And you can see this cloud here now has labels on it that show you the 90-minute EMA and the 138-minute EMA for the cloud itself, which more or less tracks with this 10-minute EMA. And this is why I like using the clouds better than the moving average for my 10-minute EMAs, because it gives me more information, but it also calculates them more smoothly. So rather than just taking a time period and having these like kind of chunky moves in between, because it's actually a 10-minute chart, this will calculate it much more smoothly based on the current chart you're on. So anyway, that's how I tend to use them. I think these overall levels are really useful, especially when you have the daily 50, where you have a lot of interaction with it. Not here. I mean, the initial was a pretty serious bounce off of it, but this is always going to get some kind of respect. So you see this rejection off of here before it turns around and comes back, and so when it comes back, it's probably going to break through. And it's all probabilities. So you could get set up for the break somewhere down here, go long, and then when it does break, you can just sit there and hold it for as long as you want, maybe until it breaks through your 10-minute 9 EMA or 20, however you want to do it. But that's how I tend to use it.